From the hinterlands and in villages, what many of the people there hope for is that their young ones will one day come to the city, and then build a future such that it will impact those back home. And that was the hope for Mrs. Simon. She sent her daughter, Rabi, say, go to town, stay with your aunt, start to go to school, build something for yourself so that one day you can be the hope and the future for our family. And indeed, it happened just like she wished. But when Rabi got to the city, she fell in love. Being in a big town, she met many people. She was flustered, but she thought she had found a friend. And before you could say Jack and then follow it up with Robinson, Rabi was 9 months pregnant. What happened to that child? We dovetail into our package for today, where the high point and the focus is on child abandonment in our country, Nigeria. The research shows that 7,000 children are abandoned every year. For all you know, it just may be more. Rabi is one story. There are many more. Welcome to Weekend Deal. Do those children have a place in society? My name is Thelma Obaze. Patience, Elia Abba, as always.
So I'm listening to your story and I'm taking away. Honestly, a child is a blessing. And in the African society, the birth of a child is heralded by so much joy and rejoicing. Children are vulnerable, and so they must be cared for, loved, and protected. And so it is always so heartbreaking and shocking when children are left, through no fault of theirs, I emphasize, to cater and fend for themselves. These children from the beginning are already grossly disadvantaged. What is the fate of these children? Who abandons a child and why? These and more we will be looking at on today's show as we delve into the very sad world of child abandonment. My name is Patience Eloy Abba, and this is Weekend Deal, coming to you from the network service of the NTA.
Over 7,000 children are abandoned yearly in Nigeria, and you already know that that puts them in a disadvantaged position. So it's now up to the milk of human kindness that runs in the veins of Nigerians to change their story. And that's what Uju captures in this background feature, where she has a heart-to-heart talk with Dr. Essien and her husband.
I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier.
The Nigerian Child Act of 2003 stipulates that no child should be subjected to torture or other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment. The 1999 Constitution of Nigeria, Section 34(1), supports this act, affirming that every individual is entitled to respect and dignity.
Children growing up, there are stages that as parents we're supposed to work so hard to see that they don't miss any stage in life, because if they do, that will play a very negative impact in their adulthood. Children love both parents to be present. We must be present. When you give birth to a child, you have to take responsibility to train that child. You have to take responsibility to care for that child.
Section 16 of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act 2015 states that it is a criminal offense to abandon or leave a child without a means of sustenance or livelihood. Penalty for an offender being imprisonment not exceeding 3 years or a fine not exceeding 500,000 naira.
I was staying in a village in Cross River called Biakman. I was staying with my mom. I stayed with my mom till when I was knowing myself, when I was growing up, primary 3, 4, like that. My mom left me, so I was staying with a priest in a church called Brotherhood of the Crescent Star. I've never seen my father before. I don't know what he looks like. I was selling with some of my friends that always sell together. So I was selling more. I hawk around to sell because if I don't sell, the woman won't give me food to eat.
Across the length and breadth of Nigeria, abandoned children are seen everywhere. Some get lucky to be picked up and raised, some others not so lucky.
2019 or thereabout, we went for pilgrimage to Biakpan. You know, we have this annual pilgrimage. We were in Biakpan, you know, driving myself and my wife, and you know, there were these children actually who were hawking, selling food, some cool, some perishable, and all those things. You know, in villages, our children do. And I needed something that I would eat. You know, so that's when I called her.
As I looked at her, I felt pity. She was looking dirty. Her hair was unkempt. As a medical personnel, I just look and say, this girl is unkempt. And I quickly looked at her hair. The hair had lice on it. And she had dandruffs, which was so, you know, prominent. You can see it from afar. And I say, this is lack of hygiene. Then I said, can you follow us to the hostel where we are sleeping? We would like to buy you a moi moi. So while we got there is when we now interviewed her. And she said she didn't know her parents where they were, especially her mom left her with the priest.
I didn't know anything about them schools, no, because I wasn't going to school properly. So he always sits me down at home and teach me how to read the Bible, how to spell, how to read, and how to write. He always teach me because when I came, like Evans already knew all those things. So whenever he teaches me, Evans also teach me too. And then I started learning. When I was in stand tall, I won a medal for race. The gold one is for running. I took first position, and this one is for SAG race, which I took second position. And him also always wins race like that, but he said in the school they don't give them their medals.
On Weekend Deal today, we take a look at abandoned children all over Nigeria.
That indeed was amazing, is amazing because it is ongoing. I say thank you to Mr. and Mrs. Asian for opening up not just their hearts, but their home to their child. I mean, that's what we're talking about. We need all to work with each other and take these children off the streets. Now, there's so many reasons why children are abandoned, from disgruntled parents to situations at home, war and all that. But NTA Yola will be joining the conversation right now, and they'll be telling us one of those reasons, which is due to insurgency.
The northeastern part of Nigeria has recorded significant increase of orphans since the emergence of insurgency. Millions of victims fled their hometowns, including children unaccompanied, following the loss of their parents. Some who were fortunate were supported by their relations and family friends. Some had their mothers present but still are considered orphans since they lost their fathers, who were the breadwinners of the family. Such is the story of a 13-year-old Ibrahim Abubakar, whose parents were killed 10 years ago in Bama local government area of Borno State. The unwholesome act of insurgency made him seek refuge and shelter at Malkoi IDP camp settlement in Yola South local government area of Adamawa State, where there is an estimated population of 4,300 people, out of which 450 are orphans. Since the insurgency, his life has become a tale of demoralizing experience, throwing him into emotional trauma among other untold hardships. According to him, he has been out of school for years. Even though he is recently enrolled in school by a Good Samaritan, he finds it difficult to cope due to hunger as he has to do manual jobs to find what to eat.
Since my father died, I am not happy. My father was killed, now I had to work on people's farm to get what to eat.
Just like Ibrahim, Madu Sali, Musa Ahmadu, and Ahmadu Umati, among others, faces similar difficulties in life.
Boko Haram separated me from my parents. We had to go to farm to eat food. I lost my father, mother and brother during the insurgency. We need help. I wish my father was alive. I am suffering a lot.
Some of these orphans are being traumatized, battling with several mental health illnesses ranging from anxiety, anger, depression, and a lot more as a result of this insurgency.
When you talk of trauma, human being that has seen a traumatic situation like insurgency, okay, like incidents, okay, like a kind of vulnerable, situation that he has seen or he has involved, and then he was able to survive from that situation. Whenever you see him, he's so suspicious about social happenings, even in the home, even in the school, even in the community. He will be showing a sense of dejected from the society. As a parent, now bring this child close to you, try to associate him to the society, okay? Create a group dynamic, situation where this child will be participating. Kind of activities that will actually enshrine a kind of pity in him, okay? Try to bring him back into the society. Try to bring him close to you, okay? So that he will forget about all these things and then gradually he will be coming on the safer zone.
Guidance and caregivers of these orphans had this to say.
These children are emotionally disturbed. They usually get frightened, even in their sleep. If there's a way of helping the orphans, we will appreciate.
Faith brought us together with these children. We are neighbors and we have to help them with food and other things.
Although restoring hope for the orphans as the future leaders is a huge challenge, there is a need for a collective effort of the government and 1 million Nigerians to give them social support to ensure they get the life they deserve.
Wow, when we hear stories that these children encounter so young, it can be debilitating, and there's no doubt they will experience trauma. And we know the side effects or the after effects of trauma. Depression, PTSD, it's unending. We must do what we can to bring them as close to us as we possibly can. The heart must come out at this time. And that's how we go to Lagos, to educational television, and ask them what did they find when they were talking and researching about adoption in Nigeria. Some say it's a very intricate process, but we'll get to know more now.
You're welcome to Charity Homes. How do you do today?
I'm fine.
Okay. So, how may I be of help to you?
In Nigeria, the issue of child abandonment have become a distressing one due to socio-economic factors such as poverty, teenage pregnancies, and a lack of family support. The consequences of child abandonment are therefore physical, behavioral, psychological, and societal, as the children become vulnerable to malnutrition, poor living conditions, and exposure to dangers on the streets.
Children that experience abandonment are left with intense emotions such as anxieties. They worry for nothing. They have low self-esteem. They don't believe in themselves. Low confidence level. They are faced with trauma, depression, withdrawal.
It is sad that the place of potential future leaders is gradually being darkened by these inhuman acts. The legal framework concerning child abandonment is primarily based on the Child Rights Act of 2003, which upholds the right of every child to a name, identity, and family care. Adoption provides a solution to these vulnerable children. However, the adoption process in Nigeria is cumbersome and rigorous, bordering on the meeting of certain criteria.
Because the laws, varies from state to state. Profile, you put your profile, introduce yourself, introduce your wife. If you are a single parent, should not be less than 35 years old. Introduce yourself, what you do for a living, and all that. Then the welfare officer in his wisdom or her wisdom will now recommend whether you are capable at that first stage. Then the next stage, you'll be going to court, to the family court, where you make an application, you attach your marriage certificate, because it is assumed that the couple are married. You attach a medical report of fitness that takes care of your mental, your general health status, preferably from a government hospital, because you now grant informally the application to adopt the child.
The Nigerian government has established policies aimed at streamlining the adoption process and protect the rights of children.
What we try to do is sensitize people, especially young girls, ladies. Instead of abandoning your child, you can approach orphanages. They are all over the place. If you don't want to go to a private orphanage, you can approach the Lagos State Ministry of Social Development and Welfare Officer who are in charge of children's welfare.
Despite these policies, there are challenges in the adoption system.
The civil service bureaucracy makes it typically difficult. Most of the remand homes or welfare homes that we have today, they are poorly funded, and the officials of such agencies even sell the children.
The need for legal framework is evident with these glaring gaps in the system if abandoned children are to find loving homes.
The government should try and reduce the bureaucratic red tapes involved in adoption. We just need to reduce time spent. 1 year to 2 years is a long time. One can get discouraged.
There is still much work to be done regarding legal reforms. It is a collective responsibility of all in the society, parents, non-governmental agencies, and the government to ensure that every child has the opportunity to a loving and brighter future.
The adoption situation in Nigeria, Thelma, do we need to relax some of these laws, or we need to do more? Because there are too many children on the streets looking for loving homes.
Quite a number. I think once the adoption agency, those in charge, can ascertain
that the family is
the
loving and good,
family, that the man has a responsible job and the woman too is doing something legitimate, I think they can let the children
and
go.
they have a heart to love.
Not saying they should not stop watching.
Okay.
Don't just hand over the child and then let it rest. Okay. There should be eyes on that family for quite a number of years.
Okay. All right, to continue our conversation, our first guest is here. He's a friend to the house, a man who is doing so much for abandoned children, Mr. Tabeshima Jebe.
We welcome our friend, our brother, Mr. Jebe Tabeshima. Great to have you on Weekend too.
Yeah, good morning. Nice having me around.
Today our focus is on child abandonment and their place in society.
You see, there are just very few factors we can look at because they are so wide. But in Africa, where we come from, you look about early sex, and then you look about lack of parental values, and then you look about illness, and then you look about poverty, ethnicity. I don't want to be religious because a lot of people are watching, and I don't want somebody to be emotional about the program, because we want to incite a lot of knowledge into people.
Okay.
And for that reason, we just be on a general level for people to understand that.
Indeed.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the adoption process earlier. Some say that for the fact that these children need a loving home, the process has become too intricate, and it may be discouraging for people who really want to make a home, a nest really, for these children.
You see, we have a problem in Nigeria. It will surprise you that some states, especially in the south, if you visit, you discover 14, 15, 16-year-old girls having children.
As wives, or?
When you ask of their husbands, they tell you their husbands are in the creek, exposing to early life of sex. So first of all, we need to observe ourselves first. Look at where we are coming from, our economic status, and basically education to early sex is very important. I have an uncle who educates, he's a man, but he teaches the daughters how to use condom because of uncertainty. You know, it takes you unaware, pregnancy, unwanted sex, immature marriage. The child is given birth and abandoned. You understand? And then there is something that is called sanity. You give birth to a child out of wedlock, and as an African, they start calling your name bastard.
Yes. Stigma.
Yes,
Stigma.
Mental health.
So many factors. It can be accident, you know, leaving these children abandoned. But because of people want to be rich, there are a lot of rituals, and there are a lot of fake orphanage homes. So people are careful. And because of integrity, you know, people lack integrity. If you come out to the street and you say, let me have these 500 children from this side, let me have these 500 children from this side, and then there's a vocational training for them, it adds value. It adds value. I was driving in a car with my friend, and somebody tried to overtake, and the father was trying to dodge, and the son asked him, Daddy, what was that? Why are you not patient? Just let them go. Just
Accountability.
Really?
I like that. I like that.
Really?
So when you educate your children as they grow up, it adds value to their life. Well, you see, parents of these days, you're a shoemaker. You know that you're a shoemaker. You know that your earnings cannot pay school fees at this time when things are so difficult. You have 6 children. You have 7 children. Sometimes you lure these children in hawking because you cannot train them to school.
For them.
And these children goes to hawk. They are ladies. They are abused. They are raped. And forgetting the fact that you push them to the street, you start abusing them, their personality, keeping them to a way out of the society. Well, for adoption, I think it's important that people understand there are children on the street that needs help. We have future governors, we have future presidents in orphanage homes. In fact, most of the intelligent people I see are on the streets.
Okay, I want to ask a question. I don't know whether it's our cultural background. I discovered that Nigerian couples or African couples are not in a hurry to adopt. You see a couple looking for a child for 16, 20 years, and they have not adopted one. Is it our culture? Is it that you adopt a child and your relatives might not accept the child as blood? I don't know what it is that we are not quick to adopt. Like in other climes, adoption is everybody wants to adopt. Even when they have
Even when
children,
they have
their own
children.
they add more to the numbers. But here, we don't add to our numbers. you can't count up to how many families who have 4 kids and say, okay, these other 3 are adopted. We hardly see such families. And then for people looking for children, that's where I'm even shocked. People wait 25 years and they have not. Is it our culture? Does it have to do with the way our culture? Why are we not adopting the way we should?
And can we change it?
Can we change it?
Of course. You know, we thank God for religion. Most of the education we've gotten is through religion. Education is say we have not gotten it. Because if we are properly educated, like the people we are talking about, you go to the US, they're adopting, you go to the UK, they're adopting, or you're in China, they're telling you can't give birth to more than one, and all that, you know. But here, ethnicity, cultural values, who is going to inherit? You know, it is just recently when the male child started misbehaving and then the parents started saying, no, I think girl child is the best, because most of these girls are the ones that are taking care of.
They are the ones that are remembered.
They're taking care of their parents, you know. There's something very important you need to know, especially when you die and leave your children at their age that don't have knowledge about their culture. It's very, very bad. Your uncle will come and say, he's my brother. This is my property. Your uncle will say, you are not our blood. You were brought somewhere else. I know where. They will start telling you. Now let me tell you something. Somebody grew up from a particular community and then believed that that was his community. Built the best house in that community because he became wealthy. So there was this day he was having his bath. And people were passing and saying, look at Mr. James, he has come to view the house. Yeah, he thinks that this is his house. This is not his house. The mother brought his pregnancy from somewhere else. By the time comes, we are going to expose it to him. He was in the bathroom. In a land he thought was his land. He went out to find out. Of course, the pregnancy was brought somewhere. That is what I'm talking about. Where we come from, the values, the ethnic values. Education have not been able to break these things up. And then we are suffering from it because a show of love to somebody means a lot.
Okay, now we talked about adoption. Okay, now we know the cultural exposures. It can affect negatively or positively. So perhaps adoption sometimes is not as easy as it ought to be, and people are looking at what society will say. But left to me, it wouldn't matter to me. Inheritance, you do inheritance. If I have the means, I will reach out to help as many as I can. But besides adoption, there are many other ways that we can impact the life of these children. You have talked about upskilling, bringing them and teaching them skills. But there are some who are very young. We have them 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. The factors that bring them out to the street are uncountable, but they are there. What other ways can we touch their lives? We have NGOs, you know.
You know, like I said, when you are discussing a particular thing, you look at where you are coming from. There are people, we are very selfish people.
Not all.
Yeah, but majority carries a vote. Or one egg spoil all eggs. Most of these NGOs, you see them projecting themselves around. They don't really do what they are supposed to do. That is why there's a lot to, there's so much that we NGOs that are just coming up, is so difficult for us, that have those knowledge, that are ready to give out to the society. It is very difficult. If the government decide now to build schools, let's say vocational training centers, in all respective skill
areas, for example.
There's fashion, there's aluminum fabrication, there's mechanics, there's carpentry, there's ICT. You understand? If the government decides to project this to everywhere, and then NGOs embraces it, like in Comfort Ngumimi Jebe Foundation, we support accident survivors. We link them to psychological counseling because already they are traumatized. You die, you leave your children in the hands of your younger brother who is living in a thatch house. He moves into your house to take care of your children and turn your children into slaves.
Okay, that is happening.
It is happening. It is happening. Turn your children into slaves. I have so many examples. I have so many interventions that NAPTIP is handling.
So
and
are
all
the
that.
NGOs able to intervene in such situations?
Now, the challenge we are facing is finances. Number one, you need to pay the people that are working for you. First, for them to improve your organization. Number 3, you need to support the people you don't know that you are bringing. Some will be far away, they need accommodation. How many people can you accommodate? How many people can you feed when you yourself cannot feed yourself? There was a time for 3 years, almost all my salaries were going to people that were working for
your
me.
foundation.
So I decided that let me use the fashion aspect of it as a business
So
where people can come, sew, and we get money to pay staff members and get money to buy the basic things that we need for people who suffer through that process. So it's so tough. But if the government comes in, I wanted to build emergency units at each federal highway at each 50 kilometer.
Amazing.
With your foundation?
Yeah, with my foundation.
Where are you with that project?
The project is ongoing. It has gone through a lot of processes, but you know, in this country, there are a lot of things that are involved.
Yeah.
So I don't want to talk about it. But just imagine that from here to Benue, at each 50 kilometer, there's an emergency unit. I'm partnering with the government, all the government hospitals. I have people who give me oxygen. You know, these oxygens are at disposal of everybody, you know, and then when there's an accident, police, I don't need police report and all that. I get rescue to these people and all that. So basically, if we don't really show that each of us belongs to it.
Love is the way to go. Please hold that thought as we go on a short break.
We have been talking with Mr. J.B. Tavishima. He has a not-for-profit, non-governmental foundation and organization where he has been making an impact on the lives of many of our special Nigerian children. We are asking at this time, what is the place of the Nigerian child who is being abandoned? Because as we speak now, there are many children out there, some of them without a hope, without succor.
You see, from my own perspective, because I don't want to talk for other people, but I also expect them to embrace what I do. I go to hospitals where I identify people who cannot pay hospital bills. There are some people who have been discharged from the hospital, they cannot pay hospital bills. I identify with those kind of people. I give them vocational training, you know, making sure they regain their sanity and dignity back to the society. You know, we have orphanage homes where people can go to and support. There are so many orphanage homes that they don't have food. You can only give food and save a life. There are IDP camps, communal crisis, people displaced. I remember when we visited IDP camp, only to barb. Barbing alone was an excitement to these people. So there are so many of them that have not seen the values of life. So I plead with us Nigerians to see that we have the responsibility, at least each family, to take care of 10 people. That will go a very long way, because if you take care of 10 people in your family across the globe, you would see how many people would have been taken care of. It must not be education. You know, you can improve them in diverse forms. Yeah, because people are going through a lot. And then parental values, we should learn how to talk to our children, even though they are not our children by birth, but we should know how to talk to our children because it means a lot to them.
We must wrap up on that note. We want to thank you very much, Mr. J.B. Tavishima. The milk of human kindness definitely runs in your veins, and all Nigerians should latch on and imbibe. If you're not already kind, try to be. We're going to Sokoto actually.
right now, yes. And let's have them join this amazing but sad conversation.
Parents cater for essential needs of individuals. Absence of their services or being an orphan is one of the most unfortunate life experiences, especially for children. At tender age, human needs such as food, clothing, health, and education are essential that orphans and abandoned children are likely to miss.
As a child, you feel that he takes care of himself, he provides his basic needs, and largely you find them running the streets in the city, even at times not even having where to sleep or not even having certainty or what to eat. Usually they don't even attend schools or informal training.
And those people who felt that maybe they are looking after orphans who have lost their parents through one tragedy or the other, felt that if there's a way they could abandon them, they also go ahead and abandon them. Why? Because they felt that it is not easy for them to take care of their own born children, how much more taking care of orphans. So it has been long, and children have been suffering from that particular menace.
Surviving family members are expected to cater for the orphans. But for one reason or the other, some family members can't be responsible enough to even their biological children.
The economic aspect, it can also bring about the unwanted deaths, because women are always more vulnerable than any group in terms of this kind of victimization we talk about that we see during wars and some of these things. Parents might be killed by these insurgents or some criminals, and then these children become displaced and they become abandoned.
As essential as basic needs are, the orphanage home is in place in Sokoto State to play the role which should have been offered by departed parents.
If at all we discover that they will not get anybody to take care of them, they are being placed in orphanage home. We have institutional care, why we give institutional care. And every child that is there in orphanage home, there is standard of practice. There are 6 services which are compulsory for every child to have: food, nutrition, health, education, protection, psychosocial, and others.
Increase in adults' death rates resulting from road crashes and social violence coupled with irresponsible parenting now leads to rise in orphans and abandoned children on the streets that needs to be catered for.
And these mentally unstable women, there's no how the government can help them because they are mentally unstable. So it is either they take them to psychiatrist home, and when they get there, they look for escape route and come back to the society. Their children, since they don't inherit the mental instability from them, so if the government can collect those children, take them to orphanage and be their parents, will help them to not to become beggars, since they don't inherit mental instability from their parents.
The need to take care of abandoned children is very important for them to occupy a proper place in the society.
So now the government have a responsibility here. The society itself, because those people are from the society. The society needs to provide a cover, a kind of contribution where they provide support to this kind of activities. The mental health, the unwanted births, you understand, displaced children, we should have also civil society. We should have also agencies of international maybe position who are there also to take care of these kind of situations so that it will not escalate and become a larger problem.
Sokoto State Government, non-governmental organization and individual philanthropists have been making efforts to cater for orphans and abandoned children, leading to reduction in the number of out-of-school children. However, more needs to be done to address this social condition that has the tendency of becoming a social problem to all of us.
Okay, somebody says, good morning, well done. People who are rich should try to help the orphanages. Well, I don't think it's even about wealth. It's about your mind. I mean, being kind is a state of mind, not even about wealth, but it's a good one. I say, good morning, ma'am and sir. Can a divorced woman adopt a child because I want to? And can you give me any good orphanage? Oh, madam, you can. You can just go through the proper means, like they've said. There are so many good orphanages out there if you
do your research.
Do your research.
Do your
honestly.
due diligence. You know, ask your colleagues, ask your neighbors. Because when you have a good heart and you have good intentions, you will find a place to nest. And those children are waiting for hugs and for embraces. And it's coming. It's time to meet our next guest. She's Reverend Esther Say. Madam, we welcome you to the program.
Well, thank you so much I'm happy to be here, and I'm great. I thank God for helping me to be here.
Indeed. It's what you've been doing behind the scenes that made us do research and find you. And we know you are going to bring a lot to our conversation today. We're talking about the place of abandoned children in our society. You have been working assiduously for many years with children, and now you are giving them a home in your orphanage. Tell us about that.
Yes, this vision started so many years when I was young. And I was not an orphan, but I was treated like one.
Oh.
As if I was abandoned by my uncle. And I was not even taken to school until somebody found me. And the person decided to plead with my uncle to take me to school. It took my uncle time to agree, but later uncle asked him to go and take permission from my father, because my father said I should not go to school. So this man went. My father was in Taraba State then, and we were in Kano. This man went to Taraba State, traced my father, and pleaded with my father to allow me to go to school. That he had been talking to me and said, all that I want to do is to go to school. So later the man came back and took me to school, from primary school to secondary school, and so he made me what I am. And I said, okay, now what will I do to just say, God, thank you? And then I said, okay, when I grew up, I will now be helping children that I didn't know from anywhere to make them what God wanted them to be. Just to give back to what God had done to me.
Wow.
And so that's my vision.
That is a very wonderful, inspiring, and rewarding way of giving back. But what have the experience been for you, bringing in these children and seeing them grow? Tell us a little bit about your experience and how you get your help and all that.
And the experience, is not really pleasing initially. It was very, 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 very difficult, because the first children I started with were the children that were killed. Their parents were killed by Fulanis. And at times we prepare food to give to them. They will just abandon the food for you.
Why?
Because they were sad.
Yes. Because of the pain.
The pain.
Some of them, they slaughter their parents in front of them. Some of them, they slaughter their parents and they carry them and put in the body of their parents. So it was not easy for them to forget about it easily. But with time, gradually they started getting up, and by the grace of God, started showing them love. With my husband, we do our best to make them that we are your parents, and we can do everything for you. God has brought you our way, and we can do everything for you. We are your parents.
Are they going to school?
They became, many of them, they are in school. All of them are in school.
But how are you getting your funding?
The one that is 9 months.
Okay, 9 months.
The funding is not very, very encouraging yet, but I really thank God. Recently, somebody bought a bus for us.
Wow.
And this person is all the way from Delta State.
How did he know about you from Delta State?
In fact, he told me that when he came to present the bus for us, he told us that when he had that vision, he was going through orphanages. They were passing and passing and passing. And the moment he saw Queen Esther orphanage, his heart jumped. He said, yeah, this is it. So that's how he came to my home. I was in the room. He asked for me to come. I came. He said, Madam, what is your need? I said, so my need are plenty, but there's one that is really pressing on me, because the children go to school, and many of them are very, very small. They trek to school, and the school is far. So I need a bus. And then he said, before the end of the month, you'll get it.
You'll get a bus.
It was like a joke to me. It was just 3 months 3 weeks to the end of the month. They were telling me before end of the month, I'll get it. I said, well, God, let me just see what you want to do. And then after 2 weeks, he called me and said, Madam, your boss have arrived, and it's a new one.
Let us celebrate that man. Let us celebrate that man.
And the day he came, because before that I used to think, even if I have a boss, where will I get money to pay for the driver? Where will I get money for maintenance? So, but that very day he gave us the boss. He said, Madam, I'm going to be paying for the driver. I'm going to be fueling the car. And I'm also going to be maintaining the car. And that is what he does. And that particular time, he came and changed ceiling in my this thing, in the hall. He came to the office. No, it was that Jaga ceiling before. He came to the office and changed the ceiling.
Oh, amazing.
Can we call his name? Can we call his name?
This is the milk. When Mr. J was talking about milk of human kindness.
Yes, this is exactly what
he was talking
the whole
about.
Compound. If you go now, you see the compound is so neat.
And it makes the children, it gives them a sense of belonging.
What's his
but
name?
we ask you to hold that thought when we come
goodness.
back. We go to Port Harcourt, where it can be very devastating for parents, guardians who are meant to be the support system that young ones can hold on to when they are involved in drug or substance abuse. This is a no-brainer for a family that you want to build, that you want to hold together. But Port Harcourt will tell us more.
Man walked into my office in a very depressed mood, and before we started talking, he was crying. What's the problem? He said, please help me. I am addicted to cocaine. That's his word. And it's killing me. I said, how long has this been? He said, for a good number of years. And the issue now is that he's afraid that he may lose his children. I said, what about your wife? He said, the wife has not left him.
A situation where one or both parents are struggling with addiction or alcoholism can lead to a very difficult circumstance for the children.
Some of the children I interact with on the street, they tell me why they run out of the home. Because they will see their father beating their mothers mercilessly. And when they try to talk to their father will beat their head and get out, and they will leave the house. They just come to the street. No advice, no upbringing. All they know is the life on the street and life in the street.
Child abandonment is a reality, and the reasons for this tragic occurrence are diverse and unique as the people involved. In our quest to unravel this, we visited one of the homes for street children in Port Harcourt to interact and find out the possible reasons for child abandonment.
From what is shared with us that make them run away from home and find themselves on the streets, things like broken homes. There are some places a child, they will tag a child a winch.
Have you had any instance or case where a child ran away because the parents are into drug addiction?
We had a case like that, a boy. His father is late. According to him, that he grew up with a mother, and the mother is a civil servant. Anytime the woman received her salary, she will use it to drink. Before you know, the whole money will finish. Somebody, out of pity, a friend of the father, took this boy, put him in his school. After drinking, this woman will come make trouble with this man. According to the boy, the man stopped. That is how the boy dropped from school and began to wander all the way from Basa. He came to Port Harcourt. And along the line, we come in contact with him. He came here, so we interacted with him.
I was born out of wedlock, so the situation at home was tough for me. So then I thought it twice that I should leave the village and come to Port Harcourt to also.
What made you to leave your home?
My bad friends.
Bad friends?
Yes.
I and my brother were in the streets because of the circumstances of my family.
How do you feel being here?
I feel better.
What have you learned?
I have known how to reach more, and I've learned to respect.
The abuse of substance or alcoholism by parents has far-reaching effects on children and society at large.
When you have spent so much on the substance, the money is reduced. The children's educational welfare, social welfare, You don't find love in such environment. Do you know that some drug pushers use them? They tell them they will hide these drugs and even gum, pesos. Tell them to hawk pure water. Inside the pure water, there are drugs they are going to deliver to their customers, unfortunately. Secondly, some of them go to my, when you see them, my drink, and some roadside stores. You see children that they're sleeping there. As they're sleeping there, men and women go there to use them. Child labor is there. Trafficking, ritual activities, they're used.
Although some circumstances for child abandonment are understandable, others are unjustifiable. Whatever the case, all hands must be on deck to avoid this worrisome trend.
All right, welcome back to our studios. Our guest is still here. She was telling us amazing things that a Nigerian is doing for their orphanage. I mean, let's make the world better, one child at a time. I'll take a message and then I'll go back to our guest. He said, my name is Mushud Pelumi. For me, I think the government should get involved with what this mom is doing. So, do you think, is government helping you? Do you have any help at all from the government, or do they know you are even existing? I mean, let's see.
Well,
have you reached out before to any organization to say?
Because they approve of it.
Okay, on that basis.
You're registered.
Okay, you're registered.
Yes.
Okay, so you've not had any help from them?
No, not yet from them.
Okay.
So all the funding you've been driving your orphanage with has been personal or help
from people?
Well-meaning Nigerians?
It just help from people once in a while. So somebody come with the one in me. Cotton and domain, just like
but
that.
we want to especially thank the man you spoke of, Mr. Ogenevo, who not only bought a bus, he brought food stuff, he refurbished the orphanage.
Yes.
You know, he's an amazing person.
And you said something about school fees. What did you say? Please quickly say it.
Something about
school fees. The man paid fees.
Okay, they paid all the school fees that time.
For 38?
For 38 children?
Yeah, for 38 children. And so he came back again. You see, he traveled. Or something like that. I did not have a sculptor there. It was only the lawyer. And then when I tried to get to him through the lawyer, I was finding it very difficult. And by the grace of God, I paid all the school fees. So when he came visiting, he just called me and said he's having a birthday. He want to come and get something with the children. So he came that very day. So when he came that very day, he came with the bags, I think 2 bags of rice, big bags, and a bag of gari, a bag of beans, and some small things, and 400,000 naira. He came with somebody.
Is it waiting to put your hands together for
Mr. Ogenevo? Amazing.
He also came with somebody who gave 200,000 naira, and I told the children in his presence, said, see, this because we bought a land, we want to build a
permanent site.
Because where we are now, we don't know when government
can come and say
that kind of thing. So I now told the children, say, you know, say I pay all your school fees. They say yes. Say, this money here we're going to put in the bank. We start saving for our permanent structure. And so my son was there, he was around there. So the next day he took the money. We put it in the account.
Okay, Madam Esther, you're doing great.
Reverend Esther, how often do you get children brought to you, or do you go and pick them from the street?
No, actually children being brought to me, I keep on refusing. I keep on refusing because as I don't know, people have so much about me, those in villages. So they keep on begging me that they know you do take care of good children. We want to bring children for us and the list of it. So I keep on refusing. Even now I would have maybe like 100. But why will I get resources to take care of them?
So now how many children do you have?
I have now, right now, I have 38 children in the home.
The home. When they grow, I was going to ask this transition that people are worried about in orphanages. These children, they were babies together. You know, they're not related by blood. And they grow into teenage girls and teenage boys. How do you cope?
Actually, like 2 months back, I sent 2 out.
Wow.
But one good thing is that the children in my home, I don't just put them in school. I always make sure they learn skill. So these 2 that went out, they already have what it takes to take care of them.
Amazing.
They learn skills.
They learn skills. The other one is 18, the other one is 19.
Women or men?
Men.
They are both guys.
Yes, they're both guys. So
And they're doing well. You're following up as their mother and you're checking on them?
yes, I check on. I do call them.
Oh, good.
I do call them once in a while to make sure that
They are
they
fine.
are doing well.
They are doing fine.
And
But they
so-
can always reach out to you. as
And they
well.
can always call you back anytime they need you.
We need to thank you, Reverend Esther Say. It's been inspiring listening to you, and but time did not permit us to continue this conversation. But please reach out to us every time. Okay, and let us know how you're doing. We want to know more about Mr. Ogenevo.
Okay.
And see how we can bring him to talk about on the program, perhaps inspire more Nigerians to do the amazing thing he's doing. We know we have many that have that capacity.
And he will like it.
Yes.
Because that very day he came with about, I think there were 4 or 5. He came with people. So he was telling them that it's not what you put in the account. You have in the account.
Okay.
In your bank account.
It's what you give.
It's not, but it's what you put in the life of people.
Of people.
Telling them. So I think you'll
Interesting.
love that.
Amazing. We rested there. We rested there. A break beckons and we'll take it. Don't go away. You're watching Weekend Deal.
Thank you so much for your messages. Indeed, our program is interactive, and I'm going to read like 2 messages. A young lady writes in, he said, "Good morning to you all. I am 22 years old and I have a baby, but the father smokes and we are not married yet. What can I do?" I want to say thank you so much for reaching out, because a whole lot of your mates will throw out the baby somewhere. So thank you for holding on and keeping on. You need a support group, okay? Don't keep keeping on. Thelma, she should talk to people.
Yes.
You should locate people.
Yes. If you have family, if you have a mother, if you have an aunt, they will advise you. But I'd ask you to quickly learn a skill.
Yes. While you
learn a skill, then let your husband know, or your or the father of that child, let him know the damage his smoking is causing for the baby and for you. Because secondhand smoke is even dangerous. If he cannot quit at this time, let him not do the smoking where the child is. Okay, because the impact is negative and will affect the health. Then she needs to learn a skill so she can be a bit independent. Learn something, tailoring, there's fashion design, there's ICT. She can even learn carpentry. There's numerous skills she can learn at this time that cost little or nothing. In fact, many of these NGOs train people for free.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Please don't throw away that child. Hold your child. He could or she could be our future president. Okay. Thank you for reaching out.
Patience together. We are always better and stronger together.
Together.
God bless
Together.
Nigeria.
God bless Nigeria. Bye.